Hello and welcome to the TaxSlayer Pro New User Webinar. My name's David Elijah, Director of Education and Training here at TaxSlayer. Now today I won't be able to chat with you in real time, but here's my email address, delijah@taxslayer.com. So please feel free to contact me with any questions that you might have after today's webinar. And with that, let's begin. I've gone through my account, I've downloaded the installation file, and I'll click Next to begin the installation of the TaxSlayer 2016 program. I need to accept the license agreement. I'll click Next. I'm going to install the program to my C drive, hard drive on my computer, and just click the Install Shield button to begin the installation. The Install Shield wizard will go through its routine and install the 2016 TaxSlayer Pro software on my computer's hard drive. I'm now told that the Install Shield wizard has successfully installed the 2016 program, and I'll click the Finish button. I now have a 2016 TaxSlayer Pro icon on my desktop, and I'll double-click that icon to load the program for the first time. The next message I'll see is an on-screen message thanking me for choosing TaxSlayer Pro, and it's telling me that I will be asked to enter information pertaining to my firm. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that button. Now this is a very important message screen. The initial configuration of the program has definitely changed for 2016. We're committed to ensuring that the data and privacy of our customers is protected. There are some new industry standards that we have to go by now. You will be asked to enter an EFIN validation code. This is a 12-digit alphanumeric code unique to your EFIN. You will be asked to set up an administration account, usernames, and passwords for each preparer. You will need to go through these steps very carefully. Take note of your usernames and passwords. The passwords are required to expire periodically, and you'll have to reset these every 180 days. If you click the link for the step-by-step instruction guide, you'll be taken to a web page that will give you a downloadable 2016 TaxSlayer Pro desktop PDF document. You can print this document or save it to your computer for future reference. Next, if I were a TaxSlayer user last year, I would be asked if I would like to use the same network configuration. For purposes of this video, I'm going to select No. Next, I'll see a question, am I using a network? And again, for this video, I'm going to select No. Next, I'll be told to fill in all the information pertaining to my firm. I'll fill in my firm name, contact name, EFIN, and at this point, I will enter my EFIN validation code, the code that can be found in the History tab of my account. A 12-digit EFIN validation code unique to your EFIN. We'll click OK once all that information is entered, and here I can review the information that I just entered about my firm and make sure that everything is correct. Once I've reviewed this information, I'll click the Exit button. Now I need to create an admin account. This must be created in order to manage, prepare usernames and passwords, and this admin account will have limited access to any part of the program, simply to create and manage, prepare usernames and passwords. Make sure that you create a strong password for this admin account. You'll be asked to confirm the password that you just entered. And now you'll be asked to create a security question and an answer for this admin account. The security question will be used to verify the admin account if you forget your password. And for security purposes, don't select a question that has an answer that's readily available or shared with others. Now, if I had the 2015 program installed, I would be asked if I wanted to pull preparers from the prior year, but we're going to answer no and enter new preparer information. I'll begin by clicking the New button and giving each preparer a prepare code number. This number can be from 1 to 999 and will identify each individual preparer in my office. I'll finish filling in all of the required preparer information, Social Security number, PTIN, name, and I'm going to give this preparer a username. The preparer will use this username when logging into the software. I'll click the OK button and review my preparer information. But let's take a look at number 14, Preparer Security. When the preparer logs in for the first time, the preparer will create a password and a security question. You will not need to enter a password or security question for the preparer at this time. Each preparer will be prompted to create their own password and security question and answer the first time that they log into the software using their assigned username. Next, let's take a look at the Role option in the Preparer Security menu. TaxSlayer Pro displays the Apply Role window. The administrator is only associated with the admin account and can't be assigned to any preparer. The administrator can access all areas of the program, and he or she can't create or edit tax returns. The return preparer has restricted access to many areas of the program. He or she can create and edit their own tax returns. They do not have access to tax returns created by another preparer. The super user has access to all areas of the program except the firm and preparer information. The super user has unlimited access to tax returns. The individual with the unlimited role has unlimited access to all areas of the program. Now that we've explained the roles, we'll go ahead and exit the Preparer Security menu and the Preparer Edit menu. At this point, you could add another preparer if you wish, but for purposes of this video, we'll exit, which takes us to the Bank Setup menu, where we'll select the bank that will provide our bank products. For purposes of this video, we'll choose Currently Not Offering Bank Products. This takes us to the Fee menu. The Fee menu lists every form in the program. You can simply select the form for which you desire to charge a fee, enter the fee, select the next form for which you desire to charge a fee, enter those fees, and so on. You can review your fee menu, make sure you've entered a fee for every form that you wish to charge for. And you can also indicate that you wish to charge by the hour if you so choose. Once you've entered your fees, simply click the Exit button, and this takes us to the Path menu. The only option that you should change in the Path menu is your secondary backup path. If you desire to have a USB drive or an external hard drive where you wish to store an additional backup copy of each return, select the drive letter for your external or USB drive and click the OK button. Once you've indicated your USB drive or external hard drive path, you can exit the Path menu. This will take you to the Macro Setup. The Macro Setup will allow you to pre-populate items like employers, daycare centers, bank routing transit numbers, K1 entities, items such as this. You can go ahead and pre-populate these into the program if you wish at this point. If you don't wish to enter any macros or pre-populate any employer or daycare or K1 entity information, simply skip the macro setup and you can move along through the configuration process. Next, you're asked, did you purchase the TaxSlayer Pro Premium Bundle? We hope you did. And at this point, you'll want to enter your TaxSlayer Pro Premium Activation Code. Once you've entered your TaxSlayer Pro Premium Activation Code, you'll have a chance to set up your Pro Premium options, beginning with your pay-per-cut email. We suggest for your email method, unless you're an advanced user, to select option number 1, Indirect through TaxSlayer Pro. You'll want to enter your email address that you wish to use for your client correspondence. And once you've done this, review your premium configuration menu options and make any adjustments as necessary. Once you exit the Premium Configuration menu, you'll be told that you've successfully installed the early release version of the 2016 software. So now let's go ahead and open the program for the first time. I'm going to double-click the icon on my desktop, and I'm going to log in as the preparer, not the admin, but the preparer, so that I can set up the password and the security question for this preparer. So I'm told to leave the password blank to continue setting up this preparer. Now I need to create a strong password, and notice the instructions on how to create a strong password. So I'm going to enter my new password, and I'm going to be asked to confirm my new password, and of course they both have to be the same. Next, I'll be asked to enter a security question, and I'll choose my favorite sports team, the Braves. I'm going to click OK, and I'm now at the main menu of the program, ready to enter tax returns. And so the first screen I see is the 7216 disclosure message. And when I click OK on that 7216 message, it takes me to my client input screen where I can begin a return by entering a client's social security number. So what I'm going to do is enter a client's information, an early season tax return, maybe head of household, some daycare expenses. So I'll begin by entering the client's social security number. Hit the enter key. I'm told that this return does not exist. Do I want to create a new return? However, had this client come to my office last year, the moment I entered the social security number, the program would prompt me to pull in the information from last year if I wish to do so. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new return, so I'm going to answer yes on this question. I'm going to choose head of household for the filing status for this client. I'll enter the client's name, her date of birth, her occupation, and an address. And when I enter the zip code, the city and the state will automatically fill, and I'll enter a couple of phone numbers. And an email address, because I'm going to want to get in touch with Sherry later on, maybe after tax season is over with, just to touch base with her, to make sure everything is going okay, and to be sure that we stay in contact so that she'll come to my office and have her taxes prepared next year. So once that information is input, I'm going to hit the OK button. And now I can review the information that I've entered for Sherry. Make sure that everything is correct. I'm going to exit this screen. And now I did this on purpose. This is a check. The software is going to check to make sure that the Social Security number that I entered at the beginning is the same Social Security number that I entered the second time. So I'm going to click OK on this. And we're going to say that this Social Security number is the correct one and I entered an incorrect number, so I'm going to correct that Social Security number. The program asks me if I want to enter any dependents now. I'm going to enter yes because she's filing head of household. She does have a dependent. I'm going to select the new button, or I could hit the insert key on my keyboard. And I'm going to enter her son's information. And I can simply hit the enter key. If Jeremy's last name is the same as hers, it'll automatically fill. I'm going to enter a date of birth and a Social Security number for Jeremy. And relationship, he's her son, and he lived in her home for 12 months. So I'm going to click OK. And this gives me an opportunity to review the dependent information that I put in for Jeremy. And let's say, for instance, here, I entered an incorrect date of birth. I meant to enter 2009 instead of 1999, so I'm going to go back. I always have an opportunity to go back and correct any mistakes that I might have made along the way. So I'm going to correct this birth date. I'm going to put 2009 for the birth date for Jeremy. The program recognizes, because of Jeremy's age, it asks me, does he qualify for the child tax credit? Well, in this client's case, he does, so I'm going to answer this question, yes. Next, the program asks me, have I determined that the taxpayer has not released the claim for Jeremy to another person? I'm going to answer that question, yes. So now I have the dependent information menu up. I can review the information for Jeremy. I now have the correct date of birth. I've answered the child tax credit due diligence question. So I'm going to exit this menu. And at this point, if I needed to, I could click on the new button and enter a second dependent, or highlight Jeremy's information and edit his information if I needed to, or just simply exit the dependent information menu, and I'll do that now. Next, I'm asked, did my client have minimum essential health care coverage for herself and her spouse if filing jointly, or anyone that she could or did claim as a dependent? Now, for this particular tax return, these questions pop up because of the Affordable Care Act, but for this particular tax return, I'm going to answer yes, that Sherry did have minimum essential health care coverage. The next question that I see in reference to the Affordable Care Act, did she enroll in health insurance through the marketplace? I'm going to answer this no. So now I can review the personal information for this client. Her filing status, indicated by number 4, is head of household. And again, I could go back and review the dependent information if I needed to. She has full year minimum essential health care coverage, and her health insurance was not gained through the marketplace. So I'm going to exit here. Now the program asks me, do I wish to enter W-2s? We're moving down the 1040, so I'm on line 7. I'm going to answer yes here. And this takes me to my W-2 input menu. And you'll notice this type of window sprinkled throughout the program. Just like in the dependent menu where I entered Jeremy's information, I'm going to click on the new button here. I now have my W-2 input screen up on my computer, so I'm going to enter in the employer's ID number from Sherry's W-2. And because I had a previous W-2 that had this employer ID number, I had another employee of TaxSlayer to come in and prepare his taxes. The program remembered that this is the address and all of the information for the TaxSlayer company. So now all I need to do is enter the wages for Sherry and her federal tax withheld. And notice that the Social Security wages, the Social Security tax withheld, and the Medicare tax withheld all of this is automatically filled in for me. If I needed to make any changes in these screens, I would just simply click in the box, enter the change or the correct number, and move on. So I've entered her federal wages and tax withheld here. I'm going to drop down and select the state. I'm going to select Georgia and enter the state ID for TaxSlayer. Her state wages automatically pull, but again, if there were any discrepancy or any changes that need to be made, I could do that. And I'm going to enter her state tax withheld. Everything looks good on my W-2 screen, so I'm going to go ahead and exit the W-2 screen. Now, just a little shortcut that you can use to move from menu to menu, or once I've entered all the information from this screen, all I need to do is hit the Enter key, and it'll take me to my Form W-2 input menu. So if I had another W-2 to input, I would click on the New button, or if I needed to edit the W-2 for TaxSlayer, I would highlight it, click the Edit button. But in the case of our return, I'm just going to exit and keep moving along. She's only got one W-2 here. I'm now at the Income menu, and at this point, what I would do in my client interview process, I would ask this client, do you have any other income from any other source? And Sherry doesn't have any other income. All she has is her W-2. So I'm going to exit this menu. And now the program has recognized that Sherry qualifies for the Earned Income Tax Credit because of her wages and because she has a dependent child. The program has picked this up. So what I need to do at this point is answer the due diligence questions beginning with number 1. Whenever you see must answer, obviously you must answer. So I'm going to select number 1. Was the taxpayer a non-resident alien for any part of the year? I'm going to answer this question, no. Did I explain to Sherry the rules about claiming EIC when a child is the qualifying child of more than one person, and have I determined that this taxpayer is in fact eligible to claim EIC for the number of children? I'm going to go ahead and answer yes. And also, take note here, if you have a taxpayer that's not claiming a qualifying child, you would answer this question yes. Next, I'm asked, did I explain to Sherry that he or she may not claim EIC if she has not lived with the child for over half the year, even if she supported the child? I'm going to answer yes. So now I have option number 1 answered as qualifies. So what I'm going to do now is move down to the next question, due diligence for a taxpayer with a qualifying child. I select that menu option. I'm asked, does Jeremy qualify another person for EIC? I would answer no. Next, moving down the list, Form 8867, the due diligence questions, I must answer those. So I'm going to select that menu option. Did I complete the return based on information for the tax year provided by the taxpayer or reasonably obtained by me? Again, these are questions for the preparer. We're the first line of audit this year on earned income credit due diligence, so I'm going to answer yes. Did I interview the taxpayer, ask adequate questions, and document the taxpayer's responses to determine that the taxpayer is eligible to claim the credit? Yes, I did. Did I review adequate information to determine that the taxpayer is eligible to claim the credit, and in what amount? Yes. Did any information provided by the taxpayer, a third party, or reasonably known to me in connection with preparing the return appear to be incorrect, incomplete, or inconsistent? You want to be careful with this question because you're going to need to answer this one, no. Did I satisfy the record retention requirement? And to meet this requirement, did I keep a copy of any documents provided by Sherry that I relied on to determine the eligibility or to compute the amount of the credit? Yes, I did. Did I ask the taxpayer whether she could provide documentation to substantiate eligibility? Yes, I did. Did I ask Sherry if any credits have been disallowed or reduced in a prior year? Yes, I did. And were any of these credits disallowed or reduced? Again, be very careful with this question. This is another no question. Did I certify that all the answers on this form are, to the best of my knowledge, true, correct, and complete? I'm going to answer yes. But before I do that, I want to point out something to you right here. At any time during this interview process with this client, when we're answering these due diligence questions, I can press the F8 key. I'm going to do that now. Press F8 on my keyboard. This is where you would enter your EIC due diligence notes. Document anything that you think might be important during the interview process that would substantiate this client's claim to the earned income credit. And you'll want to put plenty of notes in here and attach these to the return by clicking the OK button. Did I certify that all answers on this form are, to the best of my knowledge, true, correct, and complete? Yes, I did. And so now I've satisfied all of the requirements in my EIC due diligence checklist menu. Number 1 is answered qualifies, 2 is answered qualifies. The due diligence questions have been answered, and I have some due diligence notes based on a client interview attached to the return. So I'm going to exit this menu. I'm now at the EIC Information Edit screen, so I'm going to go ahead and exit this menu. And I'm now at the Client's 1040 screen, where I can view the 1040. My menu, my program menu is up. And any other information or any other income, credits, anything of that nature that I needed to add to the return, I could simply find the correct menu option for it, or scroll down the 1040, double click on the line of information that I needed to add. Say, for instance, there were some interest to add on the return. I could simply add the interest from 1099 in here, and so on down the line for anything that I needed to enter on the client's 1040. Again, you have a couple of options here. You can use these menus if you choose to. I can go to the income menu and add income here. Or I can simply click on the line of the 1040, double click on the line of the 1040 if I need to enter any additional income anywhere else. Okay, just a couple of quick things that I'll point out while we're here on the client's 1040 screen. Again, you might have noticed I can increase or decrease the size of the font on the 1040 simply by moving this little slider button up and down. And also, the amount of the federal refund is kept in real time. So at any time I'm on the client's 1040 screen, I can glance up here and take a look at the current federal refund from my client. But Sherry's just informed me that she had Jeremy in a daycare center, so we have some childcare expenses. And as I said, there's a few ways, 2 or 3 ways that I can input from this screen the childcare expenses, the daycare expenses, depending on your personal preference. I've been using the program for quite a while, and I know where things are in the menu options, so I tend to gravitate over here toward the menu options. And I know that daycare, childcare is in the credits menu, so I would go to option number 6 into the credits menu, and I would find my form 2441 here, option number 2, my child and dependent care expenses credit. Another way to do it would be to scroll down the 1040. Those of you that like working with the 1040, you know where things are on the form. You could scroll down, find the line for credit for child and dependent care expenses, the 2441. Double click that line, and it will take me to the menu that I need to use to enter the information for the daycare expenses. Or another way would be here in the Form Finder area under Search for Keyword. I could type in childcare. Childcare credit pops up immediately. I could double click that and it will again take me to the menu option for the $24.41. So while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and enter the amount that Sherry told me. She has some receipts, the amount that she paid to her child care providers. When I choose that menu option again, there's that familiar little box, so I'm going to click the new button. And I need that, she has the provider's ID number. I'm going to need that ID in order to electronically file this return. And the name of the daycare center, Sunshine House. And the street address. And once I enter the zip code, the city and the state will automatically fill. And she paid $2,100. Whoops. Let me tab down to the correct line there. And she paid $2,100 in daycare expenses. So I'm going to click OK there. I have an option or a menu option to review what I just entered. Make sure that everything is correct. I can exit. If I needed to put another child care provider in this menu, I could do that by clicking the new button. Again, if I needed to edit Sunshine House, highlight Sunshine House, click the edit button. In this case, I'm going to exit. Now here, this is an interesting note. Again, it's another check in the program. What I need to do after I've entered the amount paid to the child care providers here, I'm going to go ahead and enter Jeremy's information, number of qualifying persons. Click New. There's Jeremy's name. It appears there. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to re-enter the daycare expense amount. Exit this menu. Exit again. And so now I've taken care of my Form 2441, my daycare expenses. Notice, once again, the refund is kept up with in real time. So now I'm ready to mark this return for electronic filing. Now notice I haven't even touched the state return yet, but I'm going to mark the federal return for electronic filing. So I'm going to select option number 12, Mark Return Electronic. And just to make things simple, I'm going to use electronic mail check option. If you were using bank products for your client's refund, if you were going to print checks in your office, you would have different options here according to the bank that you were using. But again, on this simple return, just to make things easy, I'm going to choose electronic mail check. So in other words, the IRS is going to mail Sherry a check. But what I'm going to want to do, of course, is collect my fees before she leaves my office, since I'm not using a bank product. So I'm going to select electronic mail check, click OK. I need to enter a signature date on the return. And I'm going to go ahead and enter the signature date of January 15th, 2017. I'm going to forward date this just a little bit. Click OK. And I'm going to go ahead and exit the practitioner pin menu now. The program is going to ask me if I want to view the 8879, the e-file signature authorization. You could go ahead and answer yes at this time and print that form out, have your client sign it if you wished. I'm going to go ahead and answer no on this question for right now. I'm now at the e-file menu where I can review the return type, electronic mail check, my signature authorization, 8879, or I could remove the return from e-filing if I needed to. But for this client, I'm going to exit the e-file menu. This takes me back to the 1040 screen, and again, what I've done so far, I've calculated the return, I've calculated the federal refund on the return, and I've marked the federal return for electronic filing. The reason I need to do the procedure in those steps, I need to mark the federal return for electronic filing before I go into the state return and try to mark it for electronic filing. The way our program works, I need to mark and complete the federal electronic filing process for the federal return before I go into the state. So now I'm going to select option number 10 here, the state return menu. I'm told to add to ensure that any add backs or subtractions due to state conformity to federal tax legislation are correct before finalizing the return. Typically, things like this involve bonus depreciation, federal tax laws of that nature. I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. And here's my state menu. Now, for this webinar, I'm not going to complete a state return, but typically all I would need to do is select the state that I'm calculating or that I'm preparing the return for. So I would select Georgia, click the OK button, and in one mouse click, that Georgia return would be completed for me. I would mark that Georgia return for electronic filing and then exit the Georgia return. And that's going to take me back to the client's 1040 screen. So just to review once again, I've calculated the federal refund. I marked the federal for electronic filing. I opened up my state return menu. Ordinarily I would have selected Georgia, but again, just for purposes of this webinar, I'm not going to prepare any state returns. I would select Georgia, click OK, mark the Georgia for electronic filing, and it would return me back to the client's 1040 screen. So I've completed this return. Everything looks good, so I'm going to select the exit button, and that's going to take me to my receipt menu. And you see here in option number 1, my preparation fee has pulled from my fee table that we set up back in configuration. But if I select that option, I can change the prepare fees if I wish. Also in here, I can view and edit a client invoice, enter a payment. If I want to select a referral source, I can do that. Or if I needed to, I could select option number 10 if there were more information that I forgot to put on the return. I could select option number 10 to edit the client's return and go back to the client's 1040 screen. But I'm going to go ahead and exit back to the receipt menu. And now I'm going to exit the receipt menu. The program asks me, am I ready to mark the return as completed and ready for transmission? Now this is an important point. This does not lock down the return from any further changes. All this question does, if I answer this question yes, all this means is that the return will be placed on my electronic filing table and it will be ready to transmit when I get ready to transmit my next batch of returns. So again, if I'm finished with this return, if all the information has been input, I can answer this question yes. The return will be moved to my electronic filing table so that at the end of the day when I get ready to e-file my batch of client returns, this return will be sitting there waiting on my e-file table for me. So I'm going to go ahead and answer this question yes, that I'm ready to mark the return as complete and ready for transmission. Now because I have the premium package, the program is asking me, do I wish to print the return to PDF? If I were to answer this question yes, I have a choice, 1 copy federal and state. These are the default choices that come with the software. But for purposes of this webinar, I'm not going to print out any copies of the return. But were I to choose one of these options, the program would send a PDF copy of the return to the client's folder that gets created on my hard drive. So now as you can see, I'm back to my client list and I'm ready for the next tax return. But I'm going to exit this client list. And now let's talk about e-filing that return that I just prepared. So from the main menu of the software, I'm going to select Efile Returns, and that's going to take me to my Efile main menu. I'm going to select option number 1, Transmit Electronic Returns. And this takes me to my TaxSlayer Pro transmission table. And there's Sherry's return, along with another return sitting in the table, ready to be transmitted. So at this point, I would hit the Transmit button, send that return to the servers at TaxSlayer Pro, where it will be sent on to the IRS. And then 24 to 48 hours later, I would again return to the main menu of the program, select Efile Returns, and once again, that takes me to the Efile main menu, and so now I'm ready to receive my acknowledgements from the IRS. So I would select option number 2, Receive Acknowledgements Only. I would connect the TaxSlayer Pro communications, and I would receive my acknowledgements if there were any. Once I've received my acknowledgements, I would exit this window, and I would have reports to print. They might include IRS acknowledgements, state acknowledgements, bank fee deposits, bank funding if I were using bank products. An important point here, you will have arrows indicating that you have reports to print from the Efile Print menu. You must print your reports before you can electronically file any other returns. And you also must read any messages that may show up here in your message window before you can electronically file any more returns. So once I exit the Efile Print menu and exit the Efile main menu, I'm back at the main menu of the program, ready to do more tax returns. Well, that's the program in a nutshell. We went over configuration, how to do an early season tax return, how to electronically file the return. But again, if you have any questions at all as you're using the software or setting it up, please feel free to email me, delijah@taxslayer.com. And thanks for sticking with us through this webinar.